Hi guys, Cinematic Recapped here. Before we start, warning. Spoilers ahead. Today, I'm gonna explain an American science fiction movie, called Infinite. The movie intro tells that there are some people in the world who are gifted with perfect memories of all their past lives. They are called infinites, which are further divided into two groups. On one side, they are called believers, who are dedicated to use their knowledge for the protection and growth of all humanity. Those who oppose them are called nihilists, who see their power as a curse to end all life on Earth through modern technology. In 1985 Mexico City, Heinrich Treadway tries to escape the authorities and a man, Bathurst, in a high-speed car chase. He tells his associates, Abel and Leona, about the egg, which Treadway stole from Bathurst earlier. Treadway manages to escape some of the police, but he ends up heading to a blocked bridge. Meanwhile, Abel and Leona, who are driving alongside the chase in another car, tells him not to go to the bridge. Unfortunately, Treadway does not want to obey his friend's orders and drives through the barrier, while telling Abel that if he does not survive, the latter must remember to look inside. He eventually drives off to the edge, jumping from his car in midair to grab a crane nearby. On the other side, Bathurst arrives and hits Abel and Leona's car using a truck. He then gets out of the truck and shoots the car, killing them in the end while Treadway watches helplessly from the crane. The scene moves to 2020 in New York City, where a man named Evan McCauley wakes up from his dream gasping for air, as if he just had a nightmare that was so real. He then goes to an interview in a restaurant. The interviewer mentions his violent behavior in his past when Evan assaulted a customer at a former restaurant for misbehaving with a waitress. Not only that, he is also aware of Evan's schizophrenia. Evan defends himself by saying that the incident happened a few years ago and he promises not to do it again because he is totally fine now. However, they still turn him down to work in the restaurant. That night, he is looking for a way to earn money so he can buy medicine for his schizophrenia. Although he was never trained as a bladesmith, he forges a katana for a local drug dealer, Ronnie, and sells it for some antipsychotic medications. Since Evan knows a lot of things like a genius, Ronnie's girlfriend is fascinated by him and tries to flirt with him. Due to this, an angry Ronnie tries to cut off her hand, but luckily, Evan manages to fight back, frees the girl, and eventually escapes with the sword when Ronnie shoots him from afar. Soon, he suddenly hallucinates sliding down the snowy mountain and screaming Leona, while in reality he jumps from a building and falls into a car, rendering him unconscious and arrested by the police. Elsewhere, an old man named Brian Porter talks to a machine voice about Evan's earlier incident and they end up suspecting that he might be the reincarnated Treadway. At the same time at the police station, Bathurst introduces himself to Evan while holding the katana. He then proceeds to refer to Evan as Treadway and claims that they have known each other for centuries. He also takes a few items from his bag and asks which one of them is Evan's. When Bathurst gives him a slingshot, Evan experiences a flashback and remembers the slingshot with him in his past lives. Shortly after, a car suddenly slams into the custody room and a girl comes out of it. She then shoots Evan's handcuffs and tells him to get inside the car immediately. On the other hand, Bathurst also gets into his armored car and chases after them. They drive through the police station and the girl tells Evan to take the wheel after pressing a button on the car, which retracts the wheel and shows it on Evan's seat. The police also arrive to shoot Evan's car and blocks his way. Fortunately, the girl fires a special high-tech bullet towards the police, destroying them after it detonates as Evan and the girl ultimately escape from Bathurst. Afterwards, the girl retakes the wheel and finally reveals her name as Nora Brightman. She informs Evan that he and Bathurst should have known each other for a long time, but not in this life. Hearing that, Evan is confused by what he has just experienced and thinks this was the effect of his antipsychotic medication. Nora then drives to a hangar and tells him the fact that he is reincarnated in this new life, having a special gift to remember every memories from his past lives. Evan still does not believe her and thinks it was happened because of his mental illness. In the end, Nora asks him to get into the plane to get answers from all of his questions in the group she is part of. In the meantime, Bathurst is seen taking a strange treatment for himself when he gets notified by his inferior, Agent Shin, that Evan and Nora took an unlisted flight from an unknown airport. He tells her to find them so he can locate the egg, just like what he did in the past. Back to the flight, Nora begins to tell Evan the story about the infinites and their two groups, believers and nihilists. She tells him that both of them are believers, while Bathurst is a nihilist. A few hours later, Evan awakes from his sleep and finds himself in a strange location. Thus, Nora tells him that this place is called the Hub. Upon arriving, they meet Trace, a believer who teaches Japanese martial arts in the Hub. After that, Nora takes Evan to Treadway's office room to show him his diary, where there is a photo of them in the snowy mountains. Nora finally reveals that Treadway saved her life in the mountains, and in that life, she lived as Leona. This is exactly what Evan hallucinated about when he fell into a car. Not long after, they also meet Garrick, the head of technology and research, who asks Evan to take a look at her virtual sandbox. She then plays a hologram which tells the story of Bathurst. Long ago, Bathurst used to be a comrade of Treadway and both of them spent centuries fighting beside each other, but one time, Bathurst lost his faith and became disillusioned with the believer's mission, attempting to end the reincarnation. Therefore, he made the egg, which was designed to kill every living thing on Earth. It attacks the source of life, DNA, unwinding the very fabric of existence, so there are no more living beings to reincarnate into. Nora tells Evan that in the last cycle, he raided Bathurst's lab, stole the egg, and kills everyone who helped him build it. Because of that, Bathurst cannot recreate the egg by himself alone. Treadway also took its whereabouts to his grave. That is the reason why Bathurst tracked him down in New York, while the believers must retrieve his memories and secure the egg before Bathurst gets Evan and tortures the information out of him. Evan ultimately understands everything he has to do to get his memories back, recalling where the egg is to save the entire world. Meanwhile, Bathurst and his men attack Brian, who works for the believers and knows the location of Evan. They initially torture him to get the information where Evan is. However, he does not reveal any information to them and he is killed by Bathurst in the end. Apparently, the believers have retrieved Treadway's dead body and took it back to the hub, where it is kept in a chamber. They are trying to understand the science behind their reincarnation. Garrick also talks about the skills and superpowers hidden beneath their subconscious mind. Because of this, Evan starts his training to get his superpowers back in the coming days. Garrick and Nora even shock his mind into syncing with the system. Sometime later, they think that the shock sessions are working for Evan and gradually regaining his memories. During a train with his new partner, Kovach, Evan remembers his past life as Treadway fighting with Bathurst on the top of the crane, not long after Abel and Leona died. After the training session, Evan visits Kovach's gun labs, where he is reverse engineering Bathurst's gun, the Dethroner. It captures the soul of the infinites into a digital chip, so that they cannot be reincarnated again. After that, Evan visits Nora's room where she is meditating. She tells him about Abel, including their plan to always meet in the beginning after being reincarnated, which is located in Angkor Wat. It is also revealed that Abel was unable to reincarnate in the current life because he was shot by the Dethroner. She then reveals that the infinites start to remember things when they are young. By puberty, they have recalled everything. This is why Evan was diagnosed schizophrenic beforehand. Despite their progress, Evan struggles to regain Treadway's memories. Garrick says that the steel plate in his head from his earlier accident is preventing him to regain his memories. Thus, they decide to ask another believers named the Artisan for help as their last hope. The following day, Bathurst breaks into the hub with his soldiers. He eventually captures everyone there and faces Garrick as the power goes out. He expresses his disgust at being trapped in life over and over again, so he needs Treadway to find the egg. Luckily, Evan, Leona, Kovach, and Trace head to the casino to find the Artisan, who is operating a dead body in the back room. Nora tells him that Bathurst have taken the hub and introduces him to Evan as reincarnated Treadway. He then shows his machine which can enhance Evan's memories by drowning him inside, but there is also the possibility for him dying inside. Evan reluctantly agrees to start the procedure and the machine starts to fill with water. It starts beeping red lights while Evan slowly regains the memories of his past lives. However, the session has to stop midway after he loses his pulses. When Nora tries to revive his heart, he finally unlocks his memories, saying that Treadway split open his stomach and hid the egg inside, which is still in his preserved body in the hub. At the same time, Bathurst has arrived at the casino while watching and listening to them from his tablet. Hence, he also knows where the egg is and orders his soldiers to retrieve it. Out of nowhere, Agent Shin shoots Trace. The group initiates a lockdown at the Artisan's premises while Bathurst's soldiers slowly barge in. Evan tells them to stop running and fight back, but at that moment Trace dies. Kovach agrees to fight back and remains alone to fight Bathurst and his soldiers while telling the others to go somewhere safe. After the soldiers manage to break in, they are killed by the bullets fired from everywhere in the room. However, Bathurst is still alive while being protected by one of his soldiers. Kovach initially attacks Bathurst, but unfortunately, he ends up getting shot by the Dethroner. After that, Bathurst brings Treadway's body back to Scotland. He cuts open his stomach and finally finds the egg inside. He then gives it to Agent Shin to check if the egg is real. Later, Evan wakes up in the artisan's safe house and wants to stop Bathurst straight away, even though the artisan has warned him not to do so. After Agent Shin confirms the egg is real, Bathurst orders her to load the device with the egg on the plane. Meanwhile, Nora shoots Bathurst from afar, but he is able to dodge the bullet. He then sends out the killer drones to attack her. Hence, she jumps off the cliff while hanging from the rope and heads towards the forest. Simultaneously, Bathurst's soldiers also chase after her, but she is able to knock them down in the end. After a while, Evan and the artisan comes in a helicopter to save Nora by shooting all the killer drones. Evan gets off the helicopter using a vehicle to pick up Nora. Afterwards, Bathurst prepares for his flight with the egg in the device. Evan and Nora try to get to Bathurst's mansion, but their car gets shot by Agent Shin. They are also ambushed by Bathurst's soldiers as they see Bathurst leaving in a plane from a distance. Evan decides to stop Bathurst alone and gets on a motorcycle to catch the plane while Nora stays behind to free all the believers from the digital chips at Bathurst's mansion. Nora then faces Agent Shin and ends up killing her, but Bathurst's soldiers keep coming to attack her. Luckily, the artisan arrives at the right time and kills the soldiers from the helicopter. After that, he and Nora enter the mansion and finds all the believers in digital chips. On the other hand, Evan rides the motorcycle off a cliff and manages to survive the plane with his sword. The engine is crushed by his motorcycle, causing the pilot to lose control. Bathurst tries to get Evan off the roof by controlling the plane. However, Evan suddenly feels something strange in his body, which is a sign that he has gained his subconscious superpowers, allowing him to stand on the plane. He then opens the upper hatch with his sword to get inside the plane. Unluckily, he later falls unconscious after being shot by Bathurst when he wants to destroy the egg. While he examines it, Evan wakes up and reveals that the steel plate in his head saved his life by stopping the dethroner's bullet. The two of them continue to fight as the plane slowly falls. Bathurst manages to cut the strings of the device, sending it flying off the plane. Therefore, Evan jumps from the plane followed by Bathurst. The two fights again in mid-air, and Evan is able to stop the countdown by pulling out the egg. He then attacks Bathurst with the sword and ultimately shoots him with a dethroner, ensuring that Bathurst will not be reborn in the next life. Evan drowns in the ocean with the egg. Meanwhile, Nora and the artisan destroy the digital chips by a bomb, freeing the souls of the believers Bathurst trapped, including Abel's. Several years later, Nora and Abel are reborn in the next life and they meet at the beginning. On the other side, Evan is seen reborn as a young boy in a sword fight match in Jakarta, Indonesia. He ends up winning the match while the artisan, who is now older, watches him silently. He then visits him and offers a katana which he made in his past life to the younger Evan, who regains his memories upon recognizing him. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.